What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great start to your weekend. It is Friday night, and this is not a live recording, but there is a lot of information in this show, so wanted to put this together, be able to go through this freely without getting sidetracked for you. Got a lot of information, all 19 of the Eagles free agents here. We are going to be talking about, I'll show you a list of all of them. Then we'll go through the offense. I'll show you the special teams. There's one guy on there. And then, of course, the defense with 11 players. I will show you the market value on these guys. We will talk about whether I think they're staying or going, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Put a lot of work into this one. So give me your thoughts on each of these, or give me a whole list, whatever just a few guys, your top three, who you would have stay, whatever's on your mind. I would love to hear it. And I will be back live later tonight for Fan Friday, taking all of your questions. You guys want to talk about any of this? I would love to hear it. But let's jump right into this. Talk about these Eagles 2023 free agents. And as I said, there are 19 of them. So a lot to talk about here, but I know there's a lot of doom and gloom going around. And, I just want to stand here and tell you on top of the mountain that this team has a very bright future still. And we talked about the cap space, the draft picks, all those things that we have. Go check the videos out from the last couple of days. I talked about how the Eagles can create more cap space. So there is a world where we do re-sign the guys we need to, and you don't need to, fret. And I think that the media always is trying to get people worked up. You remember, as I dog walked them last year, Hurts couldn't develop, fire Sirianni, fire Howie. We can't sign anyone, no cap space, can't draft. Well, we saw how that worked out for them. So another year, let's take them to the woodshed. So let's jump out here in front of it. 19 free agents to take a gander at here tonight, and we'll go through individually each of them. And you've got a lot here. And we talked about it, 7 on offense, 1 special teamer, and then the 11 players on defense. So, let's break this bad boy down. But again, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. If you are enjoying this content, do me a favor, hit that like button. You can always subscribe as well. But let's jump into this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this thing started with the offense here. And look, this is an offense that, one of the better ones in the league, but they've got a lot of key pieces in place, but a couple big names to question what is going to happen with, as you saw on that list here. But let's get through it. And the first guy I want to start off with here is Tyree Jackson. And, one thing, the reason I have him first here, you have to realize, is you saw on that list, it said ERFA, exclusive rights free agent. So therefore, all the Eagles have to do is give him the minimum salary for his, accrued seasons. And if another team tries to they can't even match it if you give him that offer. So there's literally nothing else he could do. Why not just bring him back for 1 year? You see, a guy like him in that third year, he's going to only cost you $985,000 per year. And, again, it's not even going to affect your salary cap. This is a move for me, no brainer. You allow him to be here in the summer, and this is a project that hasn't worked out too well. He hasn't stayed healthy, but the fact of the matter is he costs you nothing. And unless you find some other guys, that push him out, I think why not for now? So for me, just because of the fact that he's exclusive rights free agent and costs you barely anything, doesn't even affect your salary cap at all, why not just keep him around? I mean, it's a great project to look at here. It's exciting to think of what he could be, obviously going from quarterback to tight end. We saw how well he did with that. But look, if he doesn't get it together this offseason, I'm not sure there's much hope for him. But maybe, they want to give another team a chance to work with him. We've got Calcaterra here. You never know what the Eagles want to do there. But I think for me, that's just a no-brainer move. So exclusive rights guy, that's just why I have him staying. If it were you had to re-sign him for something, not so sure I'd have him as someone that stays. Now, next up is another weapon for Jalen Hurts here, Zach Pascal. And, as the third/fourth, whatever, receiver this season, he did decent. And, this offense, we had a lot of weapons here, and I love his dependability. We knew, his familiarity with Sirianni was a chance for him to come here. He did that on a 1-year deal, and I really like Zach Pascal. I do. And, a guy like him, I think for me, going to cost you around 2.5, 2 mil, a bottom tier receiver, no real rank here. Once we get into the top guys, I'll give you more of a number here as Spot Track has it. But I think that, you could give him another 1-year deal. But for me, I'm going after someone with more, that can help you more in other areas. He's very dependable. I like him as a receiver. But for me, I think he goes. I think we look more into the draft, more into free agency, find someone that can help you in the return game and, maybe more blocking. And Pascal can definitely block well. He's great in the red zone. I think he brings a lot to the table, and I would definitely not be against bringing him back. But for me, he is not a priority. And right now, with the plethora of guys that we have to re-sign, you have to, unfortunately, let some of these guys walk. And again, he knows how to work money, and we'll talk about, dummy contracts, dead money, all that stuff coming up here in a second when we get to some of these guys. But he knows what he's doing. I don't think there is a reason to fret here, but that doesn't mean that, we're not going to be able to bring all of them back. That's just a reality we have to come to. And one of those guys, so this is going to make things intriguing. Gardner Minshew, our backup quarterback, obviously a very important position to have. But you got Ian Book here. I'm going to be intrigued to see what they, get from him. But probably bring in a veteran or go in the draft, is the mindset of most people, because we saw what Gardner Minshew did in those 2 games there. So you could probably bring him back, that middle pack kind of Dalton contract, like 5 mil per year. And, he's a quarterback, so he's going to get some money. So if he's looking in that range, for me, that's a see you later. So maybe you could, bring someone in for a little bit cheaper. Maybe you look into the draft. I don't know if you, want to go that youthful, if you just go Book and then someone in the draft, later rounds, obviously. But I think for me, you could bring in a veteran guy and do the same thing. I think Minshew, he wants more of a chance to start somewhere, more of that kind of money. He's not going to get that type of money, but I think you could find someone for a little bit less, is my opinion. Now, I like Gardner Minshew, but those 2 games, man, if we're going to beat the Saints, I was talking to my brother earlier, we could have made our draft pick better. That pisses me off. He didn't get the job done. So see you later to Gardner Minshew. Now, let's get on to this offensive line here. Andre Dillard, in most people's minds, a bust. Now, he really did start coming along the last couple of years. He got injured there. Obviously, that picture shows that. And we found Mailata. And a diamond in the rough he is. So there's still some value for Dillard. And I think, a lot of people, you'll hear, we really should have traded him, gotten some value. And that was something I said last year, hey, if you want to do that, you're going to lose him next year, in my opinion. So he could be a starting left tackle on a lot of teams. So the Eagles, did not trade him because that's a very important position to have. Mailata had his issues. He's had injury problems before. So look, you kept him around. That's all right. I think this dude, he can go out, get himself a prove it deal. He did not live up to, that first round potential, but I still think he has time to do that with the right offensive line coach. And I think Stoutland did a lot of great work with him, but I think that is the end of the road for Andre Dillard here in Philadelphia, just due to the fact that we have to spend our money elsewhere. And you also have to remember, you have to sign your draft pick. So it's not just about staying within the cap. You got to keep around 8 to 10 mil just for those rookies. So look, it is what it is. Andre Dillard, I was happy that he started panning out, but I'm also happy that we never really had to use him because we found Jordan Mailata. So that's great. Sucks that we missed the pick, but best of luck to you, Mr. Andre Dillard. Now, one more guy on the offensive line, and this is a pretty important one. Isaac Seumalo, the most overlooked lineman, definitely on our offensive line, but one of the most underrated linemen in the game. I think Isaac Seumalo is a stud, and we talk about that throughout the season. Really love his game. I think he continues to improve, and for me, continuity is huge, especially not just for this offensive line, but with Jalen Hurts as well. So, 29 years old, so he's getting toward the 30, but he brings that veteran leadership. We know, look, Kelsey, Johnson, I'd love them to stick around, but I really don't know how many years left. I'd love to see Lane for at least a few more. But Kelsey, if he dips, you want to have some of these veteran guys. You have Mailata and Dickerson, the younger guys on the other side. And for me, I love Sayamalu. And look, 12 mil, that's a decent price tag, but Spot Tracker has him at 8th, ranked amongst guards. And look, I think he's worth that type of money. And I think it's very important. I know a lot of people see, hey, look at this fancy position here, or this guy's a free agent. We got to go here. And look, I get it, but it all starts in the trenches. So for me, I think you need to keep Isaac Sayamalu around. I really think he should stay, and I think we should pay. So the way you do that, and we've talked about this, for years, every time we start hearing about how we can't do this or this team can't do that, whatever it may be, but you add dummy years onto some of these guys that are going to get longer contracts. Maybe he wants to retire here. You give him, a 3-year contract that's really a 5-year contract by adding those couple dummy years. You prorate that money, spread out those cap hits, and, that is something Howie does really well. And I think with a guy like Isaac Sayamalu, that's one of those people you think about doing that with. And, a small cap hit this year, everything's fine. And it keeps him around. It keeps this line. Again, that continuity is very important. So I'm all about keeping Isaac Sayamalu here. Now let's get to the last position here on offense, the running back position. And we've got 2 running backs that are free agents here. Now, love me some Kenny Gainwell. So excited for the future there, but I don't think you could just have him as an every down back. So I know what kind of back he is. You need another back to go with him. Boston Scott, he is that 3rd running back on that list. He is not the back that goes with him. Now, we've got Trey Sermon. I've talked about that. I'm very intrigued to see what he does this summer, but I would look toward free agency. Depending on who's where in the draft, I would look there too. But Boston Scott, he is Mr. Dependable, and, he's just a Swiss Army knife you can use all over the place. And I don't think he's going to cost you that much money. He's still very young, 27 years old now. In running back years, I know he's getting up there toward 30, but 27, still fresh legs. And, they've got him only making around $1 million per year. Man, if he has a tiny little cap hit, we can make sure that, he is here for the next few years. I'm perfectly fine with that. Now, he is Mr. Dependable when it comes to being able to help in the return game, all that stuff. So that's why I love him so much. But this would be as your 3rd or 4th running back. But for me, stay. I think Boston Scott should stick around. And again, Kenny Gainwell, Trey Sermon, Boston Scott, not, entirely against that, but you need to add one more to that. Now, the question becomes, is that Miles Sanders? So stay or go for the back here. And look, I love me some Miles Sanders, and what an incredible season he had. And I think, always going to have love for Miles Sanders. But one thing you have to understand is this is a business. So he is a running back. He is going to be looking for, a little bit of that top tier. Spot Track had him as number 10th back, getting paid here, 7.2 per year, 2-year contract. That's great. And I think, he definitely has earned his money. And these are human beings. It is a business. So go get your money. But as a fan, it really sucks because you love these dudes. And I love Miles. I know a lot of people don't like him, but thought he did incredible this year. I know he could do a little bit more north-south, and I know people feel a certain way, but big fan of Miles. But to me, I think you look in free agency, you look in the draft, and you let Miles go find his money. Now, he has been talking on social media about, how much he wants to stay, this, that, the other thing. And look, there is nothing but love for Boobie Miles. I'm a huge fan, and I don't want to see him go. This is not what I want to happen, but I understand this business, and I understand, especially for a running back, I think we could definitely move on. And unless he's willing to take a really huge pay cut, and I don't know why you would do that at your age, go get your money, young man. But man, it's going to be a really sad situation, and one I don't think is going to go well for Eagles fans that love him, because I think he could definitely be gone. So that's it for the offense. Let me hear your thoughts. How do you have that playing out for you? Who do you have staying? Who do you have going? Where do you agree, disagree? Let me know what's on your mind. But let's get through this special teams here real fast before we move on to the defense here, and we've got 11 guys to go through there, but let me know how you're feeling about it. But Brett Kern, okay, we know that he came in here. We thought, okay, a veteran, let's go. He's going to help us while Siposs is out. He did nothing but suck the bed. Now he could come back on a very low deal for, a punter, $1 million a year. That's great. But for me, that's a big no. Siposs still under contract. You ride with him. See ya later, Brett. So for me, that's definitely a go. No brainer there. Now let's go on to this defense. This is where the bread and butter is. A lot of great stuff to go through. And I want to start off, with a very important position, and they're all very important, but let's talk about this. So TJ Edwards, a lot of people feel a certain way, especially after that Super Bowl, a couple missed plays, big ones, and it's unfortunate to see. But TJ Edwards has come a long way. Love what he has been able to do. And no one gave him a chance to be as good as he was this season. Now, he played really well. And a certain guy named Jonathan Gannon could definitely be looking to take him off of our hands. You see that money. They got him 25th. That's a lot of money. I think that might be 1.9 that's supposed to be. I'm not exactly sure, but that's a lot. But look, either way, I think for me, TJ Edwards is somebody I was a fan of him, undrafted free agent, but well knowing he needed to develop. I think for me, it's been quite a surprise to see the fact that, he came in here and really he's been balling out, man. So this one was really hard for me because you got to realize not only do we have TJ Edwards, but an 11.9, that's hefty. That is what the market value is. I just think, I think you could talk him down to more around 8 million. We've talked about this. If you can do that, if you can, convince him to take a little bit of a cut, I thought he's done really great. But you have Nakobe Dean here. That's the thing for me. You have Christian Ellis, Sean Bradley, and, they're all hopeful to develop all these other things. So that's where my hope comes from for this linebacking room. But you have to have a veteran presence here, in my opinion. And I think it's TJ Edwards for me. Now, Bobby Wagner's out there. There are definitely some other names you could look at here, especially if Gannon takes him from us. So, look, it would have to be with a pay cut, this, that, the other thing. But I think he would do that. And I think, that would be great for us. But you could definitely see him walk. I think it's definitely a possibility. And the reason I really have him staying is when you get to this next person. Kaiser White, you guys remember how much I wanted him in free agency. Had a great start to his season. Had some tough parts to the season near the end. And look, I thought overall had a great season. I really like what he was able to do. And I think, they have him listed as an outside linebacker, 8.5 per year. I think he could go somewhere and get that. But I don't think it's going to be here. And, I know he's a native kid and really like his play, even with, the mistakes he made. But I think he is definitely one of those people that goes because of the fact that Nakobe Dean is waiting in the wings. So that's the only reason that I really think, you're able to walk away from this and not feel bad about it. I really do like Kaiser, and I wish he could stay, but I think he's earned his money. He'll go get some money around 7, 8 mil, 6 maybe per year. Go get you some, man. But I do not believe it'll be here in Philadelphia just due to the fact that Nakobe Dean is here. Now, again, I would have some kind of leadership. So this show is without keeping free agency in mind. So if it's not TJ Edwards, get Bobby Wagner. Go get somebody that's a veteran leader that can help these guys go in the draft, get another stud that you can pair with Nakobe Dean for the future. And I'll be pretty damn excited. So just keep all that stuff in mind. Just an opinion here, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Now, let's get into this line here. Let's talk about Robert Quinn. Traded for him, 4th round pick. Oh, he was going to come in, do a lot of great things. He gets hurt, put on IR, does absolutely nothing. Yikes. But look, I think he's not going to be able to get much of a contract, but he can still get something just because he is an edge rusher. And look, you get around the 4 mil range, and that would be decent for a backup defensive end. But I do not believe it will be here in Philadelphia. We've got guys like Janarius Robinson and Derek Barnett will be back from IR. So with Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick, hopefully another guy possibly coming back, I think that we'll be all right. And look, you got to take it on the chin. You lost a 4th round pick. It sucks, but maybe you get some comp picks, some other things. We'll see who we lose, all that great stuff. But yeah, we'll find out. Now, Brandon Graham is that other edge rusher I'm talking about. And look, this dude is Philly through and through. Love me some Brandon Graham. And I think you could get him around the $5-6 million range. I would have him 33rd ranked. Dude, he had 12 sacks this year as a backup, getting very limited snaps. And that's the age he's at 34. And I'm okay with it. And I think we all know you win with a rotation. So let him get his snaps, but keep him here. Make sure he retires an Eagle, and I will be a happy man. Now on to the interior defensive line. Linval Joseph brought in when Jordan Davis was placed on IR to help shore up this run, and boy, did he do that. And guy is, had a great career as that run plug. And, Linval Joseph at the age of 34, he's still got some left in the tank. I think he could definitely, still ask for around 2, maybe 1.5 mil. But for me, it is not going to be with the Philadelphia Eagles. We talk about, Milton Williams, Marlon Tuipulotu coming back, Jordan Davis, obviously here. You've got a lot of young guys, and just Milton Williams and Jordan Davis in themselves right there. Very exciting. Marlon Tuipulotu was looking good last year before he got hurt. Christian Ellis' younger brother, Noah Ellis, he'll actually be healthy this year. So a lot of young guys to keep our eye on the interior. So for me, Linval goes, and we've got a few more with some interior guys. And Ndamukong Suh, another one of those names that was brought in when Jordan Davis got hurt. Love this dude, what he was able to do. Love that fire, the passion he brings. Love what he does off the field too. And again, probably ask for that same bottom tier kind of salary there. And I think he deserves it. I think he's still got a little bit left in the tank for half of a year again if he does that. But I don't believe it'll be here. So that is not someone I have us re-signing. That is a go for me. Now, one of the most, this is one of the toughest ones to talk about. Fletcher Cox, one of the most difficult names to talk about the last few years. And, how he's done some magic here with the contracts, all that great stuff. But for Fletcher Cox, this is a guy at 32. Here's a guy. Sorry, Chris Collinsworth. But 32, still got a lot left in the tank. And, a lot of people feel a certain way about that. But they've got him making 14 mil per year still. Look, I think, a lot of people are willing to take pay cuts at times and do certain things. I think Fletcher Cox still believes he's playing at a high level. We've already got a lot of replacements down there. For me, I think this is a go. And I hate saying that, man. I love Fletcher Cox, man. I really do. And I thought he had a great season, 8 sacks. I thought this whole defense was kicking people's asses. This is one of the best defenses I've ever seen. And, I think that Fletcher Cox, a lot of people were sleeping on what he could still do. And I think he still believes that, and he's going to want that kind of money. So, unfortunately, I don't think the Eagles are going to invest there. I think we've already drafted there and done things to ensure we don't have to. And I do believe one of these guys named Javon Hargrave is a big one to talk about here. We've talked about this, throughout the year, where does he deserve an extension? And for me, they've got him position ranked 3. Being third means you're pretty good, around 20 mil per year. Now, what people are going to tell you is, oh my God, Eagles can't afford that. We don't have 20 mil in cap space. Well, it's a good thing their salary is not their cap space. So again, when I tell people you should understand accounting before you try to mess with the cap, it's really what I mean, because it is not just about algebra. It is a lot that goes into it. And one thing they don't understand is it's the cap hit. So for me, this is a stay. Javon Hargrave. Yep, you give him that money as a dominant defensive tackle, all-pro snub. This guy is a beast. And I really think you should keep him around with Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Marlon Tuipulotu. They all bring something different to this table, and I am all about it. Talking about adding a defensive coordinator with the multiple schemes, all the guys we're looking at, that seems to be what the NFL is doing. If you ask the media and the fans, they will disagree with you and tell you that having a great defense is a terrible thing and you should blitz instead. And it's like, So I'm all aboard having a number 1 defense again. So give me some Javon Hargrave. And the way you do that is, again, giving that contract some dummy years, prorating Spreading out is what that means, those cap hits. And you have the later years, bigger cap hits. You get to those years, you restructure. The cap's going up. These are things, you talk about the dead money. People, oh my God, did you see the dead money? And I always ask, well, do you even know what dead money is? Do you understand it? And it's like, well, no. And it's like, well, then what are you worked up about? So it would go a long way if these people understood what any of this stuff meant, but they'll just keep listening to Dan Cilio and we'll all live in hell. But no, look, stay positive here, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of hope to be had, and I think you keep Javon Hargrave around. Now, this is a doozy. We got the secondary coming up, and this is a tough one for me because I really love these guys, but we're talking about money. So Marcus Epps here, you see. I think for me, this kid balled out, did way better than anyone gave him credit for, being able to do. But he had his issues too, as we all know. A lot of people were calling for his head. But to me, I thought this kid did pretty well, but not too well where he's going to command anything crazy. So you got him bottom tier, looking around $2 million per year. I don't see why, just because this position is so thin. And if you caught that show the other day, there are certain people you can cut and save money. So if you want to replace those certain people and have Marcus Epps instead, I think that would be a route I would go. And I'm talking about Kayvon Wallace. I do think he actually did pretty well at the end of the year. So maybe you keep Kayvon, you keep Epps around because you need depth. I would still go after somebody in this draft very high. Do not get me wrong, but you need to have depth there, and we did not have that. I love Reed Blankenship. I think he's going to have a bright future, but I want to have some depth here at camp, and if you want to get rid of Epps then you do that. If you want to cut Kayvon then, okay, but just in my opinion, I would have some depth here, and you don't know exactly who they're not going to bring back, who we will talk about here in a second. So that's just where I'm at right now, and it could definitely change. I would like to see an improvement there, someone else starting, maybe Reed Blankenship beats him as a starter, but I still think, depth is very important, as we found out the hard way this year. But look, I like Epps, and I think that's a stay for me. Now, these final two, these were tough. And look, here's a simple way to put it, though. James Bradbury, this dude was one of the top cornerbacks in the league this year. That was phenomenal. That's great, right? Only problem is this dude is a human being, and he's going to want his money, and he's definitely earned it. Spot Track has him as the 10th ranked corner. I think he could ask for more than that. 15 mil per year. That's still pretty good, but I'm telling you, this dude is balling. Now, he is 29 years old. So, yeah, if you remember last year when I talked about trading for him and trying to restructure, nobody's going to want that contract he had. And, well, sure enough, no one did. So no one could trade for him. He had to get cut, all that great stuff. He's always asking, him and his agent, way more than I think other teams are thinking. So I know this sounds insane, but for me, I think you can keep him and he could stay. Now, I was talking to my pop and my brother earlier today, and I told him I had this as a go. But as I talked to them, I talked about the fact that Howie Roseman is a magician. So, again, as I had mentioned earlier in the video, you take those contracts, you add dummy years on to them, and boom, you are all set. You spread out that cap space and the cap hits, and it does not affect you the way people think it does. You still are able to give Hurts that extension. You still are able to sign these guys. Now, it might go a long way as to the other guys you're going to be able to sign. But if you get these top three, Hargrave, Bradbury, and then the next guy we're going to talk about, I think it's going to make it slim pickings. Maybe an Edwards doesn't come back. You got to go young there. I'd be okay with that as long as you wrap these guys up. But that was one of the toughest ones for me because I just want you to know, I put that as a stay just so you understand it's not that it's not possible. The media is going to tell you, well, we can. You don't have the cap space. And it's like, no, you can. Just like I showed you how we could sign him last year, trade for A.J. Brown, sign Kaiser White, Hassan Reddick, when they said we had no cap space. It's very easy. So you can, and if you want to, and he's willing to meet you in the middle, he's earned his money. Having top corners is great, though. And I would still go after a corner. We talk about Witherspoon. Yes. At 10, if he's there, take him. So I think for me, you still want to look to the future, but you also want to think about right now. And this team, still Super Bowl caliber. So if you can bring him back, you want to bring him back, he wants to retire here, let's go. And why these guys like those kind of, contracts is you get more guaranteed money. You get more salary. You get that money right now rather than having to play it out, all that stuff. And then you restructure the cap. It's all that other stuff. So it's a win-win for both teams. I think it could definitely happen, and I would be happy about it. Now, let's get into this last gentleman here. This young man, he is a bowler. I heard a week or so ago a safety could not do well in the Eagles defense, and I asked them, how much weed are you smoking? Because, wow, I saw a safety ball out in this defense this year, and when we were missing him, you saw why. Now, this dude led the league in interceptions, even though he missed 5 games. Pretty effing awesome. They've got him ranked as the 10th safety at 13.3 mil. That's fine. He is going to probably look for more money than this. Dude is a baller, and he has earned that money. We talked about when we traded for him. He is worth finding out if he, can be that safety. A lot of people doubted him. Talked about he had the perfect skill set for Jonathan Gannon's defense, and we knew Gannon would use him right. And well, we all saw Gannon used him perfectly, and missing him was huge. Same with Maddox, all that other stuff. But having a versatile piece like CJ Gardner-Johnson is key to your defense succeeding. And I think for me, this is a definite stay. This is priority number 1. So I think that you got to go and get yourself some CJ Gardner-Johnson, and then you go from there. But I think you can keep Bradbury. I think you can keep him, and I think you can keep Hargrave. Now, I gave you a final tally here at the end so you can see who I have staying and going. But again, I told you I had Bradbury originally going. I did not have him staying. I switched that up, and it was tough for me, man, because I think that we're going to allocate that money into other areas. I don't think we actually keep him. I really think, this, and if you see what I mean here, you don't lose your starting linebacker. You let go of White. You allow Nakobe Dean to step in. Marcus Epps, you keep for depth. CJ Gardner-Johnson, you keep as a baller. Graham for depth. Hargrave, for the future. Let him retire here. Jackson, that's just a no-brainer because it's exclusive rights. Boston Scott, your depth piece. Sayamalu was stud at right guard. That's no-brainer stuff to me. Bradbury is the toughest one. If he's demanding too much money, you got to let him walk. If he's willing to meet you in the middle, you make something work, let's go. Fletch, man, that would be the same thing. If he would really have to take a dip, but I can understand if he leaves, goes to Florida or something. But Andre Dillard, I'm sure is gone. Linval, Kern, Minshew, Pascal, Quinn, those are probably pretty much gone. Sanders is a tough one. He would definitely have to be another guy that took a little bit of dip in price. I don't think he will, though. So these are all very tough. Sue and White, as I've explained, I think there's pieces already in place to take over there. So that's all I've got for you. That is my opinion on who's staying and who's going. Well, at least for today. But that's all I've got for you right now. I'll be back later tonight around 9:30, 10 o'clock-ish, talking to you, Fan Friday, taking all of your questions. We had a few from the fans, and I will get them to you. So I'll try to get this out as soon as I can. Got so much going on. Things just got crazy. But let me hear your thoughts. I really want to hear who you have staying, who you have going, how you think things play out, if people have been lying to you. And feel free to share this wherever you want. People are trying to tell you we don't have cap space. Tell them to learn something quick, and then maybe they can talk about it. But truly appreciate you guys and girls and everyone else out there. If you enjoyed this content, do me a favor, hit that like button. You can always subscribe down below. Join us like tonight. We will be live for Fan Friday. But that's all I've got for you tonight. I hope you're all enjoying a great start to your weekend. But I thank you. I hope you're all staying safe out there. But I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. So until next time, you stay safe out there. And as always, go Birds!